last exempting circumstance na tayo, no? Yung failure to perform an act required by law when prevented by some lawful or insufferable cause. Important dito, again, yung adjective. Lawful at saka insufferable. And also pala, no, failure to perform an act to eh. So, in other words, omission ang nangyari dito. So, ang related po sa exempting circumstance na to is felony by omission. Okay. So, what does insufferable means? What does insufferable mean? It means insurmountable, cannot be overcome. Yan ang ibig sabihin. Tingnan natin sa illustration. How can we illustrate this exempting circumstance? SPO3A saw Mr. B selling drugs to Mr. C. Bibentahan ng drugs, no? So SPO3A arrested Mr. B without a warrant of arrest. Kasi in flagrante delicto. Arrest, no? Related po sa criminal procedure natin. A day later, the super typhoon, no? A super typhoon arrived in the Philippines. Ipalanda. A super typhoon arrived in the Philippines which closed down all offices, public and private. Walang opisina. The typhoon was so strong that numerous trees were uprooted and offices were suspended for 1 week. Later, SPO3A, no, was charged with delay in the delivery of detained prisoners to proper judicial authorities under Article 125 of the Revised Penal Code. Anong? Is SPO3A criminally liable? No. He is not criminally liable because he failed to deliver Mr. B to the RTC judge due to the casualties that the super typhoon inflicted. Diba? Inflicted sa Philippines, no? Thus, he is exempted from criminal liability because, no, an insufferable cause prevented, no, prevented SPO3A, no, from delivering Mr. B to proper judicial authorities. Okay. Okay, mitigating naman tayo, no? So mitigating, tandaan natin, meron ng criminal liability. Wala nang exemption, wala nang justification. Meron ng criminal liability, pero ibababa siya. Ibababa siya. So what are the kinds of mitigating circumstances? Yung una is yung specific mitigating, no, circumstances. No? This applies to specific felonies. Like concealment of dishonor in case of abortion by a pregnant woman. Sabihin natin yung yung anak, yung babae, no, buntis. So, i-conceal yung kanyang dishonor. Criminal liability kasi nag-abort siya eh. Pero may specific mitigating kasi nga, it was to conceal his disorder. Ano pa yung next? Privilege mitigating, and then yung last dito, ordinary, yes, mitigating, no? So sa privilege muna tayo, no? Kasi ordinary, medyo mahaba ang discussion natin dyan. Sa privilege muna tayo. Okay, so privilege mitigating, guys, may tatlo. May tatlong kinds ng privilege mitigating. Yung una is minority under RA 9344. Okay? Next is when the crime committed is not wholly excusable under Article 69. And lastly is when there are two or more mitigating circumstances but no aggravating, o N pala, no aggravating circumstances. Simulan muna natin sa minority under RA 9344. So the offender must be a minor, no? At least 15 years, no? In 1 day. Age was at least at the time of the commission of the crime and he acted with discernment. Kasi nga guys, pag 15 years old at saka pababa, di ba, exempted? O pag 15 years of age and 15 years and 1 day below 18 and he acted with discernment, criminally liable. Di ba? Pero under RA 9344, no? May privilege mitigating circumstance. And that is, ayan, the imposable penalty will be lowered by 1 degree from the penalty prescribed by law. So, kung murder yan, reclusion perpetua, bababa po natin sa reclusion temporal lang. Okay? Next, no? When the crime committed is not wholly excusable. Ano po nakasulat sa Article 69? Nakasulat dyan, tandaan nyo ha, hindi lang po 1 degree palagi. A penalty lower by 1 or 2 degrees. Who will determine kung 1 or 2 degrees? Si judge. Discretion niya kung iwa 1 or 2 degrees niya. Okay? Than that prescribed by law. O ano yung piniprescribe ng law na penalty for the crime? Shall be imposed no, sa offender if the deed was not wholly excusable by reason of lack of some of the conditions needed to justify, to exempt the person from criminal liability, provided that majority of such conditions are present. No? Ito, Article 69, ang related, ang kadugtong lagi po nito, justifying. Kaya ano muna natin yung sa exempting, sa justifying muna tayo. Doon talaga lagi pinagtutugmayan specifically sa self-defense. Okay? Tandaan nyo, may tatlo kayong phrases na kailangan tandaan sa Article 69. Yung mga nakabold, no? 1 or 2 degrees, lack of some conditions, majority present. 1 or 2 degrees, lack of some conditions, majority are present. Okay? So, doon muna tayo sa no? Sa lack of some conditions, provided majority. Okay. So, what if there are only 2 conditions to justify the crime, to justify the act, to justify the act? Example is fulfillment of duty. Sa fulfillment of duty, di ba guys, mayroon lang dalawang elements. Ano yung una? Di ba, performance of duty. Next is, the injury was a necessary consequence of the due performance of duty. Yung dalawa lang. Oh, ano sabi, no? The presence of one of the 2 conditions is considered majority. Bakit? Because penal law shall be construed in favor of the accused. Yung uh, ano pangalan? Correo principle, di ba? You construe it in favor of the accused. Kaya majority na rin ang 1 out of 2. Okay? Ayan. So, hindi ko pala nailagay dito. So, for self-defense, no, unlawful aggression, no, must always be present. For Article 69 to apply. So, on top yan nung isa pa. Sabihin natin, mayroong reasonable necessity, may unlawful aggression, saka may reasonable necessity. Wala yung last condition. Article 69 na mag-a-apply. Hindi po mangyayari na yung unlawful aggression ang wala. Kasi kung wala ang unlawful aggression, abay malamang wala rin yung pangalawa saka pangatlo. Di ba? Kung walang unlawful aggression na ginawa doon sa nag-self-defense, quote-unquote, di wala, di ba? Walang reason kung bakit niya dapat depensahan yung sarili niya. Opensa ang nangyari doon. Di ba? For self-defense pala, ayan, for self-defense, defense of relative, no? And defense of stranger. Unlawful aggression must always be present for Article 69 to apply. Next, no? For state of necessity, the evil sought to be avoided, no, must actually exist. Yan. For Article 69 to apply. Same thing din guys, kung walang evil, para saan pa yung less harm, yung mga mga injury fear be greater than to avoid it. Sabi, wala tayong pakialam kung ano yung mga injury fear na yan kasi wala kang evil in the first place. Okay, so next tayo, no? For performance of duty, same thing. The performance of duty must always be present. Isa-isahin ko na, no? Okay, kulang natin. Superior order, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for obedience. to superior order, the superior order or the order from the superior must always apply, must always be present for Article 69 to apply. Yan. Kung mapapansin nyo, lagi yung first element. Kailangan andun yun. Doon lang tayo mawawala doon sa pangalawa, saka sa pangatlo for self-defense, defense of relative, saka defense of stranger. Sa pangalawa at saka sa pangatlo lang yung probably wala. Pero yung una na condition, unlawful aggression, laging andun dapat. Same thing po sa state of necessity. Yung una dapat present, laging present. Yung pangalawa, pangatlo, yung isa doon wala. Isa andun. Okay? For performance of duty, dalawa lang yan eh. Di ba? Sabi nga natin dito sa taas, no? Dapat yung performance of duty ang laging present. Yung pangalawa yung wala para mag-apply ang Article 69. And lastly, po sa superior order, tatlo yan eh. Order from a superior, it must be for some lawful purpose and the means used to carry out the order must be lawful. So doon sa una, dapat ando lagi yung order. Yung pangalawa, pangatlo, doon pwedeng wala. Okay? Sige, last, sana malinaw po, no? At pag na-achieve yung majority, no? 1 or 2 degrees, depende kay judge. Okay? Okay. Last tayo. When there are 2 or more mitigating circumstances and no aggravating circumstances, the court shall impose the penalty next lower to that prescribed by law. Dalawang mitigating, no aggravating. Paano to normally nangyayari in real life? No? Malalaman nyo later on, guys, na ang voluntary surrender saka voluntary confession of guilt, distinct yan. Separate and distinct. So, paano ginagawa? No? Ang ginagawa ng mga akusado, magto-surrender. Hindi na-aantayin yung service ng warrant. Tapos, kapag arraignment na, mag-plead ng guilty. Back to back yun. So, bababa ng 1 degree yung kanyang penalty. Okay? Yun ang mangyayari normally. Pero basahin muna natin itong theory. No? So, general rule is if pag may 2 or more mitigating, walang aggravating, lowered by 1 degree kasi privilege mitigating. Ito ang exception po. Article itong 64, no? This does not apply if the penalty prescribed by law is a single indivisible penalty, no? i.e., no, the prescribed penalty for murder is reclusion perpetua. Yun lang ang nakasulat po. No? Tanggalin yun ni death kasi nga suspended na yan. So pag po murder ang charge na crime, ang crime charge. Pag murder ang crime charge, no? Kahit po nag-voluntary surrender yan, ang ating accused at nag-voluntary confession of guilt po siya, wala pong effect yun. No? Magkakaroon lang po ng effect kung homicide lang ang crime charge. Kasi pag homicide, reclusion temporal lang. Hindi po siya indivisible penalty. What do we mean when we say indivisible? Wala pong partition, hindi nyo makikita yung hati-hati ng mga period. No? Pag nakita nyo yung homicide, may 12 years and 1, reclusion temporal yan, 12 years and 1 day to 20, may hati-hati yan, may table sa caudal nyo. Ang reclusion perpetua, wala. No? Okay. So, yan, no? Kaya, pag po murder, no? Ang prescribed penalty, reclusion perpetua. Single indivisible penalty. Since single indivisible penalty siya, wala po tayong pakialam sa Article 64, Paragraph 5. We do not care. Kung mayroong 2, kung mayroong 5 mitigating circumstances, it doesn't matter. Talagang i-apply dyan, ang i-impose ng judge dyan, reclusion perpetua. Okay? Makalagay po kasi sa Article 64, no? In all cases in which the law prescribes a single indivisible penalty, it shall be applied by the court regardless of any mitigating or aggravating circumstance that may attend the commission of the deed. Kasi guys, pag single indivisible, wala namang minimum, maximum, medium yan. Minimum, medium, max, wala. Okay? Ang reclusion temporal homicide meron. May minimum, medium, maximum. Ang murder, wala. So anong use ng mitigating? Diba? Or ng two or more mitigating? No use. Okay? Sige, sana po naintindihan. By the way, sige, ilalagay ko na rin para kompleto. The exception to the exception din. If there is another privilege, no, mitigating circumstance aside from Article 64, Paragraph 5. Example, no, madali na lang, no, the offender, no, is a minor, is a 16-year-old, no, who acted with discernment. The offender was charged pala with the crime of murder, sabihin natin, so perpetual, no? He was a 16-year-old who acted with discernment, no? He also voluntarily surrendered, no? Voluntarily surrendered, voluntarily surrendered himself, no, to the police, and he voluntarily confessed his guilt. Okay? During arraignment. So, ano mangyayari dito, guys? So, ang mangyayari dyan, dito sa, ano to, no, sa instance po na ito, may minority kasi. Yung minority po, wala tayong pakialam kahit ano yung prescribed penalty. Murder yan, sabi ko nga kanina, ibababa po natin ang, sabihin natin active with discernment, di ba? Ibababa natin ng 1 degree kahit na murder pa yung, kahit na reclusion perpetua pa yung prescribed penalty for murder. So ano pa mangyayari dyan? Bababa. So reclusion perpetua to reclusion temporal na lang. O ngayon, reclusion temporal na. Is reclusion temporal an indivisible penalty? No. It is already a divisible penalty. That's why yung pong Article 64, Paragraph 5, mag-a-apply na. O, di ba nag-voluntary surrender siya at saka nag-voluntary confession of guilt? 1 degree ulit. So, suma total, yung pong murder prescribed penalty na reclusion perpetua, naibaba nila to presyon mayor. Back to back. Yung pong pagkakaroon ng another privilege mitigating, yung kasi nagbaba from reclusion perpetua to temporal. O, ngayon dahil divisible na, pwede nang i-apply yung Article 64, Paragraph 5. Okay? Makita niyo yung pagkakaiba. Hindi pala yung pagkakaiba, yung exemption to the exemption na sinasabi. Okay? So, dalay ko lang dito, no? In this case, no? The penalty, no? The imposable penalty. The penalty to be imposed by the court, no? To be imposed by the court shall be prison mayor. May ganito, no? For murder, the prescribed penalty is prison perpetua, a single indivisible penalty. Thus, no? Article 64, paragraph 5 shall not apply because prison perpetua shall be applied regardless of the presence of any mitigating or aggravating circumstance. Diba? So, isa, thus na lang dito. Okay, why? No? Because no? Minority lowers, no, the prescribed penalty, no, by 1 degree, and no, the presence of two ordinary mitigating circumstances, the presence of voluntary surrender and voluntary confession of guilt, in the absence, okay, of an aggravating circumstance, lowers it by another degree. Okay? Okay? Of reclusion perpetua. Prescribed penalty of reclusion perpetua kasi murder. May 1 degree. in the presence of voluntary surrender and voluntary confession of guilt, presence of voluntary surrender, in the absence of any, lower it by another degree. The presence of voluntary surrender and voluntary confession of guilt in the absence of any aggravating circumstances, lower it by another degree. Diba? So, tandaan nyo, general rule is if, ito general rule, no? Pag may 2 or more mitigating, walang aggravating, the general rule is lower by 1 degree. Exception is if the penalty prescribed by law is a single indivisible penalty. A single indivisible penalty, regardless. Kung meron kayong kailangang tandaan, guys, kung meron kayong mapupulot dito sa discussion ko na to, tandaan nyo lang yung salitang regardless. Single indivisible penalty regardless ng presence ng mitigating aggravating. Okay? Exception to the exception is if there is another privilege, may hindi ba yun? Meron. May privilege mitigating circumstance. Aside from Article 65 paragraph 1. Sana malinaw po. So, ano tayo, no? Ordinary mitigating tayo ngayon, no? Medyo mas mahaba yung discussion natin dito. Elements to justify or exempt, just to exempt the act are not attendant. Okay, so correlate natin no, sa Article 69 kanina. In both provisions, no, dapat unlawful aggression lagi present. Okay? Sabihin natin, no? Present ang unlawful aggression pero walang reasonable necessity sa lack of sufficient provocation. So, 1 out of 3 ang meron lang. No? Unlawful aggression lang yung present. Ano applicable provision? Article 13. Ordinary mitigating lang siya. Sabihin natin, present din yung reasonable necessity, absent yung lack of sufficient provocation. So, 2 out of 3 present. Ano mangyayari? Majority na siya. Diba? So, Article 69. Okay? O, pag lahat ng present, o de justified, di ba? Justifying circumstance, no? Walang criminal liability. Tandaan natin, no? Ulitin ko, for Article 69 at saka Article 13, Paragraph 1, yung unlawful aggression hindi pwedeng mawala. Kasi kung walang unlawful aggression, wala yung second at saka yung third. It doesn't make sense na magkakaroon ng reasonable necessity at saka lack of sufficient provocation kung wala namang unlawful aggression in the first place. Okay? Sige. If there is no unlawful aggression, there could be no self-defense and so on. Thus, in order for Article 13, Paragraph 1 to apply, the element lacking must be both the second and third one. If only one from the second and third requisite is lacking, then Article 13 does not apply. What will apply is privilege with the circumstance under Article 69. Okay. State of necessity, same thing, no? Same thing po tayo, same thing yan. Okay? Now, no? Sa fulfillment of duty dito sa performance of duty, no? As I discussed earlier, majority na po kung 1 out of 2 present. Okay, so tingnan nyo ha, 1 out of 2 present, automatic Article 69. Will Article 13, Paragraph 1 apply? It will never apply. Kasi pag hindi present yung performance of duty, crime lang yan, di ba? Walang mitigating dyan, di ba? Oh, pag present yung 1, wala yung second requisite, ay privilege mitigating na agad, Article 69 na agad, di ba? Therefore, hindi mangyayari na mayroong Article 13, Paragraph 1. It can never happen. Present ang isa sa dalawa, Article 69 na. Hindi present yung dalawa, just a crime, di ba? Pag present pareho, justified. So, wala Article 13. Pag dalawa lang ang requisites, o dalawa lang ang elements, provided by law. Okay? Accident, okay yan. Sige. Okay, so next tayo, no? Over 70 years old. Pag over 70 years old, no? Mitigating siya. Okay? Mitigating siya. Ordinary mitigating circumstance. O pag imbecile na, exempted na. Exempted na. Pero kapag mataas lang ang edad, mitigating lang. Okay? No, okay, sige. Tandaan nyo, wala na yung sa minor-minor, no? Tandaan nyo, pag minor, the presumption is exempted. Subject to exceptions, di ba? Discernment. Exception dyan. Sige. Intention, no intent to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. So this is highly related to Article 4, Paragraph 1 of the Revised Penal Code. Specifically yung praeter intentionem. Why? Kasi, di ba, if the result exceeds the intent, di ba, criminal liability is incurred for the result. Sabihin natin, no? Review lang tayo ng Article 4, Paragraph 1. Nanuntok, after masuntok, no, makatulog, tumama yung ulo sa sahig nung sinuntok, namatay. So what's the crime no? What was the crime committed by the person who punched, no? The deceased. What's the crime? Homicide. Hindi lang po physical injuries, no? So praeter intentionem. So ngayon, ang magiging crime niya, homicide. O ngayon, after sabing homicide, ano ang sabihin natin, no, kung napatunayan nga na he committed the crime, no? Ano pwede niyang gawin? Yan ang pwede niyang gawin. I-assail niya na, o i-contend niya that he had no intent to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. What was his intention to commit? Just to hurt the deceased, di ba? That was not as grave, no, as, no, yung na-commit na crime as that committed. Homicide yung nakamit eh. Ang intent lang naman niya to hurt the person. Hindi naman to kill. Applicable po itong paragraph na to in his favor. Para maging minimum period lang ang penalty to be imposed sa homicide. So, reclusion temporal minimum period lang. Okay? Just to review ulit, ito pong no intent to commit so grave a wrong as that committed, hindi po applicable yan sa mistake in the identity at saka mistake in the blow. Kasi nga, mistake in the identity, Article 49 ang applicable. Nakalagay doon, di ba may maximum? Pag mistake in the identity, Article 49, di ba? Pag mistake in the blow, Article 48 kasi complex crime. Maximum din nakalagay dyan. Diba? So, hindi po applicable itong paragraph na to sa mitigating. Okay? Sige. The provision also does not apply to culpable felonies. Yung Article 365 mo, yung mga reckless imprudence. Eh, di po nag-apply itong paragraph na to kasi nakasulat nga, no intent. So, di po kasali ang culpa. Hindi naman sinabing no culpa eh. Di ba? No intent. Okay. Sige. In the same way, this provision does not apply to felonies where intention is immaterial. An example is unintentional abortion under Article 257 of the Revised Penal Code. Ang unintentional abortion kasi, how is this crime committed? It was committed if the offender employed violence on a pregnant woman, but that offender has no intent to abort the child. Precisely. Kaya siya na-punish for a crime. Kaya na-punish siya for unintentional abortion. Kasi nga, hindi niya ini-intend na ma-abort yung bata. Just so happens na na-abort. So you cannot say that your crime is only unintentional abortion and then on top of that, mag-mitigating ka pa. No. The crime itself penalizes yung lack of intent to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. Naintindihan? Okay? So the provision does not apply where intention where intention is immaterial. The proper term here is that this provision does not apply where, diba? Ayan, kaya tama na nga ito. Where intention is immaterial. Tama na ito. I will not change it. No? Ibig lang sabihin dito sa unintentional abortion, immaterial po na walang intent to abort. Kasi nga, may crime pa rin. Kasi may intent siya to apply violence o to employ violence. Ayun. So, intent to abort is immaterial. Yun. Okay? Tama. Sige. The paragraph applies to malversation of public funds. Okay na yan. So, the payment, indemnification, or reimbursement of the funds misappropriated may be considered as being analogous to voluntary surrender. It can also be considered as having no intention to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. Pero one mitigating lang po siya. Analogous circumstance papasok. Okay? So, ayan ang illustration. No? Naglagay ako dito ng one example. Yeah. Okay, so Mr. A punched Mr. B. No? Mr. B collapsed. Ito nga yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. No? Because of the impact of the punch, his head hit a pavement which caused his death. No? Later, Mr. A was charged with crime of homicide. So there are two questions. First question, is Mr. A criminally liable for the crime of homicide? Nalagay natin dito, yes. Because the criminal liability for homicide is incurred by Mr. A, ayan, who committed a felony of physical injuries. Kasi yun ang intent niya eh. Although the wrongful act, what's the wrongful act? The death of Mr. B. Pinapasok ko lang yung nakasulat sa Article 4, Paragraph 1 ulit. Ginagawa kong specific scenario dito. Yung specific scenario dun sa example. Diba? Although the wrongful act, what's the wrongful act? Death of Mr. B. It was different from what he intended. What was his intention? His mere intention to hurt or injure him. So, criminal liability is incurred by a person committing a felony. What's that felony? Physical injuries. Although the wrongful act, what's the wrongful act? Death of Mr. B. Even if it was different from that which he intended. What was his intent? Merely to injure, not to kill. Napakaganda. Diba? Ganun, guys. Yung pala, doon ko nasabi ko na rin. Sabi ko na sa ibang mga bootcamps din. Ganyan ang style. Kaya kailangan memorize nyo yung retained, master nyo yung provision. Kasi pag memorize nyo napakadali, pag retain nyo napakadali, papalitan nyo lang yung generic word na nandun sa provision. Palitan nyo lang ng Mr. B, Mr. A. Yung crime gawin nyo physical injuries, and so on. Yung wrong, palitan nyo ng death. Diba? Just the generic words in the provision, diba? Palitan nyo yung mga generic words, gamitin nyo yung ano ba yung nasa facts. Ano yung specific scenario na nasa facts. Yun lang, copy and paste. You have a correct answer, you have a complete answer. Hindi nyo kailangan mahirapan masyado na gumawa ng answer kasi tingnan nyo, pinalitan ko lang. Diba? Okay. Next question. Assuming that he is criminally liable for homicide, what is the imposable penalty for Mr. A? Yan. Or what's the penalty to be imposed? What is the penalty to be imposed? Maganda yung Mr. A. Understood that Mr. A is criminally liable. Yeah. So the imposable penalty or the penalty to be imposed, no? Reclusion temporal in its minimum period. Why? Under the revised penal code, the prescribed penalty for homicide is reclusion temporal. Further, no, it provides that in case one mitigating circumstance is present, as Article 64 ata ito, if one mitigating circumstance is present, no, the prescribed penalty shall be imposed in its minimum period. In case one mitigating circumstance is present, and mitigating circumstance is present without the presence of any aggravating circumstance. Prescribed penalty shall be imposed in its minimum period. Lastly, ayan. Pinasok ko lang ng pinasok na lahat. Lastly, the offender has no intention, o Mr. A has no intention to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. It's an ordinary mitigating circumstance under the revised penal code. Here, Mr. A had no intention to kill Mr. B. He merely intended to hurt or injure him. However, Mr. B was killed. Thus, the penalty to be imposed is reclusion temporal and its minimum period. Kung tingnan nyo, no, in this case, no, bago tayo magpunta dun sa question and answer, how to train you guys. No? Ialagay ko siya sa sa different video. No? Okay, so tingnan nyo to ha. Tatlo yung legal basis na in-include ko. The first one is yung what is the prescribed penalty for homicide. The next is what happens if there is one mitigating circumstance and no aggravating circumstance. Okay? Kung ganyan pa ito. And all. And all aggravating circumstances. Ayan. Okay. That's the second one. This is the second legal basis. What's the third one? Itong Article 30, itong no intention to commit so grave a wrong. So we have three bases here. How do we, ganun kasi dapat yung legal basis nyo, no? It must look like you're discussing something. And then, napakasimple lang po ng application. Paano kung pinasimple? Tingnan nyo mula sa baba, pataas. Has no intention to commit so grave a wrong. Ano sinabi ko sa first sentence sa application ko? Mr. A had no intent to kill Mr. B. He merely intended to hurt or injure him. Pasok. However, Mr. B was killed. Dahil namatay si Mr. B, dito na tayo. Yung mitigating circumstance na namatay. Lastly, thus, the penalty to be imposed is reclusion temporal in its minimum period. Ito na yun, reclusion temporal. Di ba? Combination of this one and this one. Di ba? Mula sa baba, pataas. Sinabi ko no intent. Pasok. However, Mr. B was killed. They no intention to commit so grave a wrong. Thus, the penalty to be imposed is what? Bakit minimum period? Kasi ito. Saka na ako yung reclusion temporal dahil dito. See? I did not say anything new in my application. Yan ang tatandaan nyo. Red flag yun. You should not say anything new sa application. Dapat your application must just be a mixture of your legal basis, and the facts of the case. Merge nyo lang. Okay. It's just a mixture of everything. Dapat there's nothing new in your application. Kasi if there's something new, hindi mababasa ng prof yan. Pag dito nyo nilagay yung bagong impormasyon, hindi ko babasahin yan, di ba? Nagmamadali ako, ito lang titingnan ko. So, pag hindi nyo sinabi, pag andito sa application nyo, tapos wala dito sa legal basis, matakot na kayo. Hindi na matakot, pero maging mapagmatsyag na kayo. So that's your signal na dapat dagdagan nyo pa yung legal basis nyo. Hindi dapat nagkaroon ng bagong mga impormasyon dito na hindi nyo nasabi sa taas. Sa legal basis. Okay? Dapat, ulitin ko, application is just a rehash of everything stated by your examiner sa facts and stated by you sa legal basis. Of course, yung yes or no nyo din dito. Yes or no dyan. Dapat lahat ng mga bago, lahat ng mga position nyo sa buhay, position nyo sa question, yung position nyo kung ano yung tingin nyo tama o maling sagot, o ano yung tama o maling correct legal basis, whatever, nasa legal basis lang. Hindi pala tama o maling sagot. Yung tama o maling requisite na i-apply. Dito. Okay? Next tayo ha. Sana naintindihan. Ito, medyo let's make it more complicated. Hindi naman let's make it more complicated. Pero kasi this is more complicated. No? Kasi ito, simple lang no? Itong no intent to commit so grave a wrong related sa Article 14, paragraph 1. Walang problema. Ang sinasabi kong complication dito, o yung complicated dito, itong sufficient provocation by the offended party. Bakit? Kasi po, kung maalala nyo, itong sufficient provocation, nabanggit din, actually hindi sufficient. Yeah, sufficient provocation, nabanggit din sa Article 11, paragraph 1. Diba? Yung third, diba? Yung number 3 dyan sa Article 11, paragraph 1. Pero tandaan po natin, magkaiba yung sufficient provocation sa mitigating at saka yung sufficient provocation o yung lack of sufficient provocation sa Article 11, paragraph 1. Ibang-iba yan. Doon muna tayo. No? So, nalagay ko ba rito? Ayan. Doon muna tayo. Let's distinguish first before we go back here. Okay. Distinguish provocation under paragraph 4, Article 13. And provocation in in self-defense under paragraph 1 under incomplete. And provocation in self-defense. Ayan. Under paragraph 1, article 11. So, di ba? Parehong binanggit pero magkaiba. Why? Yung po sa paragraph 4, article 13, the provocation originates from the injured party. No? Yeah. If there is provocation, there is an ordinary mitigating circumstance under Article 13, paragraph 4. What do I mean by this? Ibig sabihin, yung offender, no? Wala talagang problema. Siya talaga ang unlawful aggressor. Okay? Kaya sa naging unlawful aggressor, kasi yung offended party, pinrovoke siya. Okay? Next, no? Paragraph 1, Article 11 tayo, no? The provocation or the lack thereof. Walang pala dito, no? Or the lack thereof. Provocation or the lack thereof dito. The provocation or the lack thereof originates from the accused himself. Okay? If there is sufficient provocation, dapat kumpletuhin ko, sorry, sufficient dapat. Babalikan natin pa. If there is sufficient provocation under paragraph 1, article 11, then there is incomplete self-defense. Di ba? Incomplete self-defense po. So, ano papasok pag incomplete self-defense? Di ba? Under article 13, paragraph 1 yan, or 69. Pag 13.1, pag isa lang ang present, pag unlawful aggression lang. Pag 69, pag 2 out of 3 present. So, ibig sabihin, present yung unlawful aggression, present yung reasonable necessity. Sige, medyo ano yung principle, no? It's very abstract. It's not well illustrated pa, no? Simulan ko ulit sa taas. Tapos, let's illustrate after, no? Paragraph 4, Article 13, the sufficient provocation or the lack of sufficient provocation originates from the injured party. If there is sufficient provocation, there is an ordinary mitigating circumstance under Article 13, paragraph 4, in favor of the offender. Okay? If there is lack, sufficient provocation, no? Then, no, there is no mitigating circumstance, no? In favor of the offender. There's no ordinary mitigating circumstance under Article, no, 13, paragraph 4, no, in favor of the offender. Next, no, tingnan tayo sa pangalawa, no? Paragraph 1, Article 11. The sufficient provocation or the lack thereof originates from the accused himself. What do we mean by this? Ibig sabihin, ang unlawful aggressor yung kabila, no? Ang hindi unlawful aggressor yung accused. Okay? Kung pala offender dito. Of the accused tayo para mas malino. Kaya mas maganda talaga, ano eh, parang ang law talaga, fine margins talaga, no? Dapat precise yung mga words kasi para mas naiintindihan nyo din. So, ayan. If there is sufficient provocation, there is incomplete self-defense whether under Article 13, paragraph 1 or Article 69. No? If there was lack of sufficient provocation, then no, the accused, no, will be justified. Then there will be complete self-defense. Then there may be, walang will be, kasi baka wala reasonable necessity. Then there may be complete self-defense, no? Justifying, which will justify the act of the accused. One more time, guys. Bold natin to. One more time. No? Paragraph 4, Article 13. The sufficient provocation or the lack thereof originates from the injured party. If there is sufficient provocation, there is an ordinary mitigating circumstance under Article 13 in favor of the accused. If there is lack of sufficient provocation, then there is no ordinary mitigating circumstance under Article 13 in favor of the accused. Okay. Next. Paragraph 1, Article 11. No? The sufficient provocation or the lack thereof originates from the accused himself. If there is sufficient provocation, there is an incomplete self-defense. So, mayroon dalawang possible result. No? The first one is Article 13, Paragraph 1, kung unlawful aggression lang ang present. Pero pag present din po yung reasonable necessity, Article 69 tayo. Privilege mitigating. Now, what if there was lack of sufficient provocation? If there was lack of sufficient provocation, then there may be complete self-defense, which will justify the act of the accused kasi lahat present. Okay, so let's go to the illustrations. No? First, Mr. A shouted racial slurs at Mr. B. Mr. B stabbed Mr. A. Who is the accused in this scenario? Mr. B. Siya nanaksak eh. Diba? What can Mr. B do? If his guilt is proven beyond reasonable doubt, Mr. B can contend that there is an ordinary mitigating circumstance of provocation. Nakita nyo? Kasi Article 13, Paragraph 4 po ito. Why? Kasi yung accused, siya mismo yung mang-aggression, mang-unlawful aggression. It's just that yung offended party, yung kabilang partido, yun ang nang-provoke. Diba? Flip. I-flip natin, no? Next. So, ano ang magiging penalty to be imposed? RT in its minimum period. Kasi nga, may presence ng mitigating circumstance. Next. Mr. A shouted racial slurs at Mr. B. Mr. B stabbed Mr. A. So, Mr. A also stabbed Mr. B. Mr. B died. Tingnan nyo ha, ito una, ano ko, no, very basic lang, binabago ko lang ng konti facts, nag-iiba yung sagot dyan. O, sige, tingnan nyo ha, yung una, si Mr. A ang nagsabi ng racial slurs, ng racist remarks. Si Mr. B nagalit, sinaksak si A. Lagi ko pala rito, Mr. A died. Matay si A, yung si B ang accused. Diba? Next tayo. Mr. A shouted racial slurs at Mr. B. Mr. B stabbed Mr. A. So Mr. A also stabbed Mr. B. Si Mr. B naman ang namatay. Who is the accused in this scenario? Si A na. Haba si B ang namatay. What can Mr. A do? If his guilt is proven beyond reasonable doubt, Mr. A can allege that there was an incomplete self-defense. Nakita nyo? Specifically, 2 out of the 3 requisites were present. Una, unlawful aggressor, si B nga, di ba? Si B ang unlawful aggressor, siya ako nanaksak eh. Further, may reasonable necessity rin po of the means used to repel or prevent it. Kasi nga nagsaksakan lang naman, so may rational equivalence. Therefore, present yung first at saka yung second requisite. So, ang applicable provision is Article 69. Diba? Thus, the penalty to be imposed is PM. Diba? 1 degree lower from RT. Diba? Or PC. PM, 1 degree from RT or PC, 2 degrees, di ba? Lower from RT. Kasi nga guys, di ba? Ano to eh, discretionary sa judge, di ba? Kung 1 or 2 degrees, bahala si judge. Bahala si judge, no? So, pwedeng PM, pwedeng PC. No? Because majority of the requisites of self-defense are present. Nakita niyo yung pagkakaiba. Yun lang gusto kong pakita sa inyo actually. Ito, ang accused to, ang unlawful aggressor, siya mismo yung accused sa scenario. In this case po, hindi po yung unlawful aggressor ang nakasuhan. ang nakasuhan yung person defending himself. Just so happens na yung person defending himself provoked yung unlawful aggressor. Ayan, para malinaw, no? So, itatangent ko lang dito sa note, no? Mr. B was the unlawful aggressor. Nilagay ko lang dito. Dagdag kaalaman, no? Dagdag point of view. Same thing din po dito. Mr. B was the unlawful aggressor. Hindi si Mr. A. Similar scenario, dinagdagan lang ng konti, nag-iba na yung sagot. Okay, so specifically, again, two of the three requisites of self-defense are present, no? Unlawful aggression, reasonable necessity. Thus, the penalty to be imposed is PM, 1 degree lower from RT, or PC, 2 degrees lower from RT, because majority of the requisites of self-defense are present. Diba? In both scenarios, ulitin ko, si B ang unlawful aggressor. Okay? Last example. Mr. A shouted racial slurs at Mr. B. Example, no? Tingnan natin to. Mr. A shouted racial slurs at Mr. B. So, ang ginawa ni Mr. B punched Mr. A. So, Mr. A stabbed Mr. B. Ano pinagkaiba? Binago ko na naman ng konti lang yung facts, no? Dito sa isa, nagsaksakan. Sa pangalawa, nanuntok lang naman si B. It's just that si Mr. A nanaksak naman bigla. So, namatay si Mr. B. Dito rin, no? Namatay din si Mr. B. Ilalagay ko ulit dito, sino ang unlawful aggressor natin ulit? Sa last example, si B pa din ang unlawful aggressor. Ilalagay natin dito, no? Who is the accused? Si A, malamang. Si B namatay eh. Diba? What can Mr. A do? No? If guilt is proven beyond reasonable doubt, Mr. A can allege that there was an incomplete self-defense. Ano ang present? Isa lang po. Unlawful aggression lang kasi nga si B ang unlawful aggressor. Was there reasonable necessity? Wala. Kasi nga suntok, hindi siya rationally equivalent sa stabbing. Diba? Mas matindi po masyado yung stabbing kumpara sa punching. So, absent yung second requisite or second element for self-defense. Yung third present o absent? Absent din. Kasi there was sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. Sinabihan niya na racial slurs eh. So, makikita nyo, dalawa po, wala. Isa lang ang meron. Kasi isa lang ang meron, ang mag-a-apply po is Article 13, Paragraph 1. So, hindi po magbababa ng degrees. Magbababa lang ng period. Article 13, Paragraph 1 na mag-a-apply kasi 1 out of the 3 requisites, elements, no, to justify the act, present. Isa lang. Ito kasi sa pangalawa, na example natin kanina, dalawa ang present. So, degrees ang ilo-lower natin under Article 69. Okay? Okay. Papansin nyo, ang presence of provocation pabor sa offender pag under Article 13, Paragraph 1. Diba? Pabor siya dun sa unlawful aggressor. Ayun pala. No? Pabor siya. Meanwhile, ang sa Article 11, yung incomplete self-defense as related to Article 13, Paragraph 1 sa Article 69, kailangan wala actually. Diba? Dapat walang sufficient provocation yung person defending himself para makakompleto siya. Diba? Kung meron, diba? Criminal liability yan. Diba? Okay, so anyway, let's not make it overcomplicated na pala. Let's not complicate it too much. No? Basta just check these examples. No? Tingnan mo muna who is the accused para hindi ka malito. Determine first who is the accused. Okay? Ang accused ba, person defending himself, or unlawful aggressor mismo? Pag siya mismo yung unlawful aggressor, kalimutan mo na yung Article 11, Article 13, Paragraph 1, at saka 69. Kalimutan mo na. Okay? Pag si unlawful aggressor yung accused. Kasi ang saving grace lang niyan, yung sufficient provocation on the part of the offended party immediately preceded the act. Something like that. Okay? Tapos, paano pag halimbawa, in the next scenario naman, what if the What if the person defending himself is the accused? Like this one. O, kalimutan mo ng Article 13, Paragraph 4. No? Kasi ang i-apply mo dapat dyan, Article 11, Article 13, Paragraph 1, and 69. Depende kung ano yung mga present na elements of self-defense. Okay? Sige. Okay, so other notes, no, other important information for Article 13, Paragraph 4, no? What does sufficient mean? No? So, parang pareho lang dun sa, ano, no, sa justifying, no? Self-defense, pareho lang. Sufficient means adequate to excite, to stir, di ba? The emotions of a person, basically. Vague threats are not sufficient. Okay? Provocation or threat must come from the offended party. Sige, unlawful aggressor nga yung offender. Okay. Lastly, provocation must be immediate to the commission of the crime. Why? Kasi nakasulat po dyan, immediately preceded the criminal act. So, meron salitang immediate. Immediate means there is no interval of time between the unlawful aggression, in this case yung aggression ni offender, at saka yung provocation ni offended party. Same thing din po pala sa Article 11. Di ba nakalagay doon, lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. What does lack of sufficient provocation mean? It means yung interval of time din. Pero sinasabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, pag walang sufficient provocation, pabor kay person defending himself kasi lack of eh. Pag may sufficient provocation, patay. Criminally liable. Pero huwag na natin pahirapan, no? Basta ang gagawin na natin, basta ang gawin nyo lang, no? Para hindi kayo malito, salain nyo muna. Sino ba accused? Ang accused ba yung unlawful aggressor or yung person defending himself? O, pag yung unlawful aggressor, Article 13.4. O, pag yung hindi, pag ang aggressor yung pag ang accused yung person defending himself, Article 11, Paragraph 1, Article 13, Paragraph 1, and 69. Mas tandaan nyo lang, no? In all scenarios. Ayaw anong masyadong i-drill down pa. Basta ganun na lang. Okay? So tandaan nyo, in all provisions, no? Wala dapat interval of time. Immediate. Next tayo. Ayan, so, you have my reviewer naman. Tingnan nyo na lang itong paano ko binreak down using these three examples, no? Okay, next tayo. Para makita nyo rin. And then you apply it sa mga sarili nyo example. Kung ano yung gusto nyo gawin na example. Make it your own. Make your own examples. Para makita nyo rin, ma-master nyo yung ibig ko sabihin. Okay, immediate vindication from a grave offense. No? Yung immediate pala, it doesn't mean immediate. It means proximate pala. So, parang nagkaroon ng incorrect, no? Translation from Spanish text to English text yung revised penal code. Dapat proximate vindication yan. Okay? So, a lapse of, dahil proximate lang po, hindi naman sinabi immediate, a lapse of time is allowed. Hindi katulad ng immediate sa provocation, wala dapat lapse of time. So, sa vindication, pwedeng may lapse of time. As long as proximate yung grave offense at saka yung vindication. May proximity yon. Okay? The killing of the paramour by the husband one day after the adultery was committed. Was still proximate. Was still considered proximate. Okay? So sa ano pa bawal 'yan? Sa provocation, no? Kasi one day na nakalipas eh. Pero sa vindication from a grave offense, what is the grave offense in this scenario? Ang grave offense, yung adultery. Di ba? Malamang. It's as grave as it gets, di ba? Mga liwa eh. So what's the vindication? Yung killing. Was the killing proximate to the adultery committed? Yes. One day lang pagitan eh. Di ba? Pinalitan ko lang po yung grave offense, ginawa nating adultery. O yung vindication, pinalitan natin ng killing of a paramour. Diba? O isa adultery committed. See? Sabi ko nga sa inyo, ganun yung style. Pag alam niyo yun, master niyo yung provision, palitan lang ng konti. No? Okay, so further, although the grave offense, no? The slapping by the deceased of the accused was not immediate, no? few hours have elapsed, no? It was held by the court of the influence thereof lasted until the moment of the crime was committed. So, ano yung crime? Ano yung vindication? Murder. What was the grave offense? Slapping. Okay. So, grave offense does not mean those crimes to which the law attaches penalties which in any of their periods are afflictive. Hindi po yun ang ibig sabihin ng salitang grave offense. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin ng salitang grave offense, it must be decided based on the social status of the person, the place, the time, and yan, no? It must be based on the social status of the person, the persons, the place, and the time when the insult was made. Hindi malalaman natin grave offense. Like ito, hindi naman grave offense yan. Yung slapping, kasi slight physical injuries lang yan eh. Di ba? Kung i-follow natin yung article 9, light felony. Di ba? Or light offense, no? Pero hindi nga yung ibig sabihin ng grave offense. Eh. Grave offense means ito. Determine natin social status, ng persons, ng place, ng time when the insult was made. Saka natin ma-determine kung grave ba siya or not. Okay? Sige. So let's differentiate sufficient provocation and immediate vindication from a grave offense. Tingnan natin ang pagkakaiba. So sufficient provocation po under Article 4, under Article 13, Paragraph 4, the provocation must be only made to the person committing the felony. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung na-provoke na tao, dapat yung offender lang. Need the provocation, the sufficient provocation, linawin natin, no? Must be made, no, to the offender and no other. Yan, so ganda. No other. Must only be made. Okay. Meanwhile, sa vindication po, grave offense, no? The grave offense may be made to the person committing the felony, his spouse, ascendants, descendants, his siblings, relatives by affinity within the same degrees. Sabihin natin, si A, ni-rape niya si Miss B. O, anong ginawa ng asawa ni Miss B, si Mr. C? Pinatay si Mr. A. O, may crime, di ba? Homicide. Kasi hindi po justified yun, no? Hindi justified na pumatay kung tapos na. Kung meron pang rape incident, nangyayari pa yun, pwede talaga kasi defense of a relative yun. Pero kung tapos na, hindi po justified si Mr. C na patayin, res vacant, mag-revenge kay A. However, sa papasok dito, sa immediate vindication of a grave offense, why? What's the grave offense in this scenario? Rape. It was made to whom? The spouse of Mr. C. Pasok. Pero sa sufficient provocation po, hindi pwede mga kamag-anak. Isa lang ang dapat na-provoke. O isa lang ang dapat i-provoke yun. At yun ay yung offender himself. Not his spouse, not his attendant, not his descendant, and so on. Okay. Next, the provocation does not have to be a grave offense. Meanwhile, sa isa, malamang grave offense. Ito kahit na sinabihan ng racial slurs, mga ganyan. Okay. So, already provocation. O minura, provocation. Next, the Felonious Act, ayan, must be immediate. Itong isa, proximate lang. So, pwede ang interval. Okay. What's the reason, guys? Oh, ito pala, namilay ko rito. What's the reason? Bakit ang sa immediate vindication of a grave offense, pwedeng mayroong lapse of time, pero sa sufficient provocation, wala. Kasi guys, kung makikita nyo, hindi nga grave offense yung sa provocation. Sa vindication, grave offense. Kaya the law gives the offender interval of time. Okay lang. Kasi grave offense ang ginawa sa'yo eh. So kahit na medyo mas matagal, no, hindi ganun kabilis yung pangyayari, okay lang. Si rest back nga yan. Itong sa provocation, hindi. Kasi hindi naman nga grave offense. So dapat wala talagang interval, walang break. Okay? Next tayo, no? Impulse so powerful as to naturally produce passion or obfuscation. Ito ang pinaka ayoko na mitigating circumstance, no? But we have to tackle it, no? So, ano mga elements, no? There must be an act, both unlawful and sufficient as to produce yung passion or obfuscation. Okay, next. The act which produced the obfuscation or the passion was not far removed from the commission of the crime by a considerable length of time, during which the perpetrator or the offender might recover his normal equanimity. So, mas mahaba na naman. No? Itong isa, immediate. Itong sa provocation, immediate. Dito sa isa, proximate. Dito sa isa, ano ang keyword? Keywords, not far removed. So, immediate, proximate, not far removed. Okay? Last two requisites, last two elements no, sa passion or obfuscation. The passion or obfuscation must arise from lawful sentiments. And lastly, the cause producing passion or obfuscation must come from the offended party. Okay, so i-apply natin. I-apply natin sa mga kaso. Yung apat na elements. So ano yung mga kailangan tandaan? Unlawful and sufficient yung act. That act is not far removed by a considerable length of time dun sa passion. Okay? Next, the passion or obfuscation must arise from lawful sentiments, and lastly, the passion or obfuscation must come from the offended party himself. Okay. In People vs. Oliverio, passion and obfuscation comprised of only two elements. The first and the second elements are the most important ones. For passion or obfuscation, it need not be felt seconds before the commission of the crime. It can strengthen over time until it can no longer be repressed. Anyway, sige, basahin na lang natin. There is no uniform rule sa considerable length of time. No? Okay, so example na lang po tayo ng considerable length of time. He alleged that the accused appellant's daughter once confided to accused appellant that Gulane told her that he wanted to touch her private parts. So gusto niyang salatin yung ari nung anak, nung akusado. Lamoste testified that about a month before the incident, he witnessed Gulane telling accused appellant, "How is your relationship with your mother? Have you produced fruits with your mother?" He alleged that accused appellant got angry and tried to attack Gulane, but he was able to intervene in part that too. Thus, the prosecution did not deny that Gulane insulted accused appellant on various occasions kasi nga, binabastos yung anak eh. That could have produced, di ba, passion or confiscation. Titingnan natin. Unlawful yun eh. Aba, sexual abuse ng bata yan, di ba? O, unlawful. Yung ginawa ni Gulane. Pangalawa, it was not far removed, di ba, from the commission of the crime. Kasi, ilan to? One month. O, 1 month dito, pwede pa din, no? Okay. Tapos, yung passion or confiscation in that scenario, hindi na in-apply sa kaso na to. Pero it was also, they also arose from lawful sentiments kasi gusto lang naman niya protektahan yung kanyang anak. O i-restore yung honor ng kanyang anak. And yung cause, it came from Gulani himself kasi inaano niya anak eh. Diba? Binabastos niya. No? So, pasok tayo lahat sa four elements. No? Ayan, no? Thus, the prosecution did not deny that Gulani insulted accused appellant on various occasions. No? The witnesses could not state with reasonable certainty that Gulane did not provoke accused appellant a few minutes before the incident. They could only testify to the incident itself and the seconds which preceded it. In view of this consideration, we find that the mitigating circumstance of passion or obfuscation present. Okay, next. So na lang, no? So, apat ang nilay ko rito. So, dalawa lang sabihin ko. Kaya na bahala dun sa other two. Okay. What was done to him on November 16, 1968, when he was subjected to treatment offensive to his dignity, having been slapped and asked to kneel down in the attitude of a supplicant, certainly could give rise to the feeling of passion or obfuscation. Unfortunately for appellant, no, this mitigating circumstance cannot be invoked because the killing took place 1 month and 5 days later. So ito pala, absent ang passion or obfuscation. Okay? Ito tayo sa ginawan ko ba ng example? Okay, hindi ko nilagyan ng example. So dito tayo sa, hindi mo natin itab pa to. Okay, ito na lang. Yan. Yeah. Example for considerable length of time pala. Tama. Kasali to. Kasi yung first example natin, walang considerable length of time. It was not far removed, no? 1 month. Case to case, di ba? Itong sa next na one naman, sa next example naman na to, 1 month and 5 days later, may considerable length of time. No? So, wala na daw passion or obfuscation. Depende talaga kung gaano kagrabe yung gaano kagrabe yung act na unlawful na ginawa ng offended party. Depende. Ito kasi binastos yung anak eh. Di ba? Kahit nga 2 buwan yan eh. For me, may passion pa din. Di ba? Both unlawful and sufficient. Okay, so next tayo, no? In US versus Sarikala, tapusin na natin. The court ruled that the lapse of more than 24 hours reckoned from the commission of the act which produced the passion or obfuscation constituted a considerable period of time. So, kanya-kanya. In short, guys, alading settled rule yung yung Supreme Court. No? The case-to-case basis. No? Okay. So, ito naman sa isa, ilan to? Hours tong sa real. Passion and obfuscation meron. So, case-to-case, guys. Ito sa isa, months, no? Month before the incident. Di ba? May passion. Dito sa pangalawa, 1 month and 5 days, wala na. Dito sa isa, 24 hours, wala na. Dito sa isa, hours, meron. So, kanya-kanya rin. So, I think pag itinanong to sa inyo, titingnan na lang kung paano kayo mag-reason out. Yun na lang. And kung ano man yung reason nyo, kung meron mang passion o wala, bibigyan na kayo ng grade accordingly. Okay? Passion caused by a prior fight or quarrel does not arise from lawful sentiments. Why? Fighting is unlawful eh. Di ba? So, ano yung third, di ba? Dapat yung passion or obfuscation by the offender must come from or must arise from lawful sentiments. Unlawful yan. Pinag-away kayo eh. Di ba? Okay. Tingnan mo, ikumpara niyo siya dun sa Olivero case, di ba? Dito, lawful sentiment kasi tatanggol niya yung anak niya. Ay, people versus Oliverio, yes. Oliverio. Diba? Okay, next tayo. Acts done in the spirit of revenge do not arise from lawful sentiments. So, ano pagkakaiba? So, yan. Ang sabihin ko lang sa inyo, ipaiba-iba rin yung ruling. Okay, ito naman sa, ano na to, sa people versus cover naman, no? Tinaksak niya si Ramirez. Caber tried to argue that he stabbed Ramirez in a fit of passion and obfuscation because he allegedly raped his wife 3 days before. This court rejected the claim, even assuming, however, that he really killed Ramirez because of passion or obfuscation. Still, he cannot be credited with this circumstance as he would then have acted in the spirit of revenge. Tingnan nyo ha, iba-iba din talaga. Hindi rin fix. Pero dito sa isa, sinalat lang yung ininsulto lang yung anak. Masasalating ko yung ari mo, sabi ni Gulani, passion na. Sa isa, ni-rape yung asawa niya, hindi daw passion yun. Diba? Yun yung hindi itatanongin dito. Kasi yung kasi pa iba-iba yung ruling. So, ano ba talaga? Diba? At doon, 1 month ha, bago nagkaroon ng, bago inano si Gulani, bago siya sinaktan ng offender, ni accused appellant. Ito, 3 days. Wala na daw kasi spirit of revenge. So what is it? Diba? Kayo na bahala again. No? Tandaan nyo lang yung 4 elements. Kayo na bahala mag-decide. Okay? Kung ano gusto nyo maging sagot. Kung mayroong passion o wala. Okay? Di ba? Kung makikita niya, kaya ako nung nagbabasa rin ako nung first year ako, saka nung fourth year, no, nalilito rin ako. At ako ganun, pa iba-iba yung ruling, hindi, depende sa ihip ng hangin. So, case to case na lang yan. No? Kayo na bahala. Nung ko na-realize nung nasa bar na hindi nyo kailangang masyadong i-box yung elements kasi nga hindi naman binabox in the first place ng Supreme Court yung decision nila. Diba? Case to case. So, kung sumagot kayo sa exam, i-case to case nyo rin. Ano ba sa tingin nyo? Ano ba basa nyo? As long as you apply or you have the four elements within you or within your mind, kayang-kaya. It depends on how you argue na. Okay? So, ito na tayo, no? Voluntary surrender and voluntary confession of guilt. The most important part ng Article 13. So, sa voluntary surrender muna tayo. What are the elements? No? The offender was not actually arrested. No? The offender surrendered himself to a person in authority or to the latter's agent, and the surrender was voluntary or spontaneous. What does voluntary mean? Yan ang pinaka-important, hindi naman yung surrender. Voluntary. Voluntary means, no, the surrender must be spontaneous in such a manner that it shows interest of the accused to surrender unconditionally to the authorities. Okay? Spontaneous dapat. What do we mean when we say spontaneous? The word spontaneous emphasizes the idea of an inner impulse acting without external stimulus. Ibig sabihin, sa saloobin ng akusado, gusto niya talagang sumurrender, hindi dahil may external stimulus. Ano ang usual na external stimulus? Pag nako-corner na, tinutugis na siya ng pulis. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na pag tinutugis ka ng pulis, magbo-voluntary surrender na po ako. Hindi ganon. Kasi that was not spontaneous. He surrendered or you surrendered because there was an external stimulus. And that is the police or that was the police chasing you. Hindi siya voluntary. That was involuntary. You were just forced to surrender because you were being cornered. You were being chased. Okay? Tandaan natin, no? Okay tayo dyan. Tapos, ano yung next dito? No? Wait. I think, yeah. So, magandang ihiwala yun. Okay. So, now, tanong. Hindi pala ihiwala yung next topic. What if inisyo na po yung warrant of arrest? Tandaan nyo, iba yung inisyo yung warrant of arrest, iba yung sinerve yung warrant of arrest. Pag sinabi mong inisyo yung warrant of arrest, nagbaba na ng order yung judge. Order, finding probable cause, so issue warrant of arrest. Okay? Iba po yun at saka yung service of warrant of arrest. Pag service, hawak-hawak na ng police yung warrant of arrest, pupunta na sa bahay ni offender, ni accused. Okay? Yun ang pagkakaiba. Pag issue, binaba pa lang yung order. Pag service, dala-dala na ng police, aarestuhin na yung tao. Okay? So the fact that the order of arrest has already been issued is no bar to the consideration of the circumstance because the law does not require the surrender be prior to the order of arrest. Ang kailangan po, as long as the warrant of arrest was not served, the accused can still voluntarily surrender. Okay. Ang kailangan po, hindi pa served. Okay lang na issued. If the warrant of arrest is issued, okay lang makakapag-voluntary surrender ka pa din. Pero if it is already served, hindi na pwede. Okay, sige. Service at saka issuance. No? Iba yan. Example, the police officers were outside the house of Mr. A in order to serve the warrant of arrest. Thus, Mr. A voluntarily went outside of his house and surrendered himself. Was there voluntary surrender? No. Because Mr. A surrender was not spontaneous. It was involuntary. And in order for it to be spontaneous, he should have surrendered to the police without an external stimulus. Here, he merely surrendered because the police were already outside his house. Thus, there was no voluntary surrender. Okay, next tayo. The judge has already issued the warrant of arrest. Oh, yan. Kasi may probable cause under rules on criminal procedure. The police officers were about to go to Mr. A's house. However, while the police officers were traveling to Mr. A's house, Mr. A then arrived at the police station to surrender himself. So nakatunog si Mr. A. Papunta na yung police sa bahay. Unahan na natin. Salisihan natin. Pumunta na tayo ng istasyon. Tayo na sumurrender. Was there voluntary surrender? The answer is yes. Okay? Kasi issuance pa lang. Wala pang service. No? Kung papatunayan yun, ano malay ni Mr. A na papakating na yung police? Kaya ba nilang patunayan na natunugan ni Mr. A? Of course not. Sabihin nga natin. Sabihin natin hindi niya natunugan. Talagang out of his own volition, gusto lang niya sumurrender. Voluntary surrender po yan. Actually, kung natunugan, theoretically speaking, pwede mga sabihin na hindi. Pero how can you prove that? So, voluntary pa rin ang magiging arrive dyan. No? Sige. Himself. The law requires that the offender must voluntarily surrender himself. No? Yung sarili niya ang isusurrender niya. Surrender of weapon is not voluntary surrender. Merely reporting the incident is not voluntary surrender. Okay? The surrender also must be for the crime for which the defendant is prosecuted and not for some other crime. Kung yung crime charge doon, homicide, tapos meron din siyang prior case na slight physical injury, tapos sabi niya, I will surrender po doon sa slight physical injury, hindi pwede yun, hindi makakredit sa homicide. Okay? Kasi he must surrender for the crime which he is, kung ano man yung crime na napoprosecute. So, sabihin niya dapat, pareho po, surrender po ako sa slight physical, surrender din ako sa, actually, mag-slight no, kasi ano yan, walang warrant of arrest. Sabihin natin sa serious physical injury, sa homicide. Oh, may isang pending na serious, tapos may bago na homicide. Sabi niya, sa serious physical injury po ako sumusurrender. Hindi pwede yun. Naikikredit mo yung surrender na yun sa homicide. Hindi pwede. I-credit mo lang yun, yung voluntary surrender dun sa serious physical injuries lang. So, dapat ang gawin ni Mr. A, o nung accused, pag sumarenda siya sa police, I surrender for all the crimes that I am being prosecuted of. Credited sa lahat yan. Okay? Lastly, no, he must surrender himself. Hindi yung kanyang mga kakontsaba. Not his co-principals, accomplices, accessories, and co-conspirators. Malamang. Kasi himself. Hindi yung kanyang mga kasama sa krimen. What do we mean when we say person in authority? What do we mean when we say the agent? Surrender, they are defined in Article 152. No? Bigyan ko na lang kayo ng examples. No? What do we mean when we say agent? Barangay tanod is an agent of a person in authority. Who is the person in authority? Si barangay captain. So, surrender kay barangay tanod, his agent. Yun. So, pasok. Voluntary surrender yan. Okay? So, same thing ang police. Ang police po, agent. Law enforcement officer, NBI officer, agent. No? Sa militar, agent. Si mayor, person in authority. Si councilor, person in authority. Si vice mayor, person in authority, and so on. Okay? Sige. Voluntary confession of guilt. So, ano yung mga elements, no? Again, spontaneous voluntary ulit. Pinaka-important. Next is, the confession must be made in open court and the confession must be made prior to the presentation of evidence of the prosecution. So, spontaneously muna tayo. Okay? What do we mean when we say voluntary, spontaneous? No? It must mean, no? It means that the offender must confess his guilt to the crime charge. Hindi po conditional plea of guilty. Kasi pag conditional, sige, magpipili ako pero sa mas mababang offense. Mas mababang crime. No. Mali yun. No. Dapat doon sa crime charge. Kasi nga, spontaneous. Hindi spontaneous yung pag nagbabargain ka. Di ba? Okay, so open court. Open court means an extrajudicial confession. Open court means nasa harap ng court pag nasa may hearing, no? Ang earliest opportunity po nito sa arraignment, mag-plead na ng guilty doon. Okay? O pwede na mag-plead ng guilty, joint pre-trial, okay lang din. No? Open court kasi yun. Okay? So, ano naman ang extrajudicial confession? Yun yung mga pinipirmahan sa police, pinipirmahan sa police, umaamin, kumakanta sa media, no? Natutukan ng media, inamin na siya talaga pumatay, hindi po voluntary confession of guilt yun. Okay? Extrajudicial kasi. An extrajudicial confession is not the voluntary confession contemplated in Article 13. It must be a judicial confession. Same thing din po pag nag-plead ng guilty during preliminary investigation kasi hindi naman judicial in nature yan. Administrative ang PI kasi DOJ, no, Office of the Prosecutor, ang may hawak dyan. So, extrajudicial confession din po yun. Hindi siya mitigating. Okay? The confession must be made in open court. Sabi ko sa inyo, pwedeng mag-confess voluntarily, arraignment, uh, saka pre-trial, pwede. Saka yung hearing ng pre-trial hearing, no? Sabi po dito, prior to the presentation of evidence for the prosecution, this simply means that the confession must be done before the trial begins. Kasi, mauna sa trial, mag-present yung prosec eh. Pag nagsimula na mag-present ng evidence si prosec, alam ng voluntary confession of guilt. Why? Kasi baka nag-plead ng guilty yan kasi nakita na matindi yung evidence na kayang i-produce ng prosec. Hindi na spontaneous. Di ba? Dinaya mo na. Kaya nagko-confess kasi alam mo mahuhuli ka na. Hindi dapat ganun. Where's the spontaneity in that scenario? Wala. Diba? Dapat spontaneous. Wala pang evidence ang pinapakita. Wala pang presentation of evidence. Plead guilty na. Okay. Guilty is not mitigating in culpable felonies under Article 365. No? Why? Nakalagay po sa nakalagay diyan sa the People versus Aguito. In the imposition of the penalties prescribed for offenses committed through imprudence, homicide to reckless imprudence and so on, the court shall exercise their sound discretion without regard to the rules prescribed in Article 64 of the Revised Penal Code. So nakalagay po dyan, Article 64 of the Revised Penal Code. Revised Penal Code deals with the rules for the application of mitigating and aggravating. No? Without regard nga eh. So we do not apply mga mitigating sa aggravating sa culpable felonies. Okay? So we can apply, actually we apply the same thing. No? So note na lang. No? This also applies, diba, to the rest of the mitigating circumstances, no, under Article 13. Lahat. Kasi without regard. No? So, settle dyan. No? Lahat. Pati yung mga sa voluntary surrender, walang ganun. Okay. Voluntary surrender and voluntary confession of guilt are also not mitigating in crimes punished by special penal laws. Okay. Article 10. Again, lastly, ito ulitin ko, voluntary surrender and voluntary confession of guilt are separate and independent. Kaya pag present po pareho, Article 64, paragraph 5 yan. Privilege mitigating. Okay? Tayo, deaf and dumb, blind, and those suffering from physical defect. No? So, for deaf and dumb, no? If he is educated, a deaf mute must show that the physical defect restricts his means of communication, action, or defense with his fellow beings. Why? Kasi educated means he is not dumb. Diba? However, not being educated does not mean he is already dumb. No? Kaya sabi ko dito, kaya kailangan niya ipakita kung educated siya. No? Yan. Pakita niya na doon siya papasok sa catch-all. Ito sa suffering from physical defect which restricts him. Restricts his means of action, communication, or defense with his fellow beings. Yan. Tandaan niyo ulit. Palitin natin ha. Deaf and dumb, okay agad. Mitigating. Paano pag educated? Hindi dumb, di ba? Deaf lang. So kung deaf siya, kailangan pa niya ng para maging present yung mitigating circumstances to, dapat dito siya papasok. Catch all. Sa physical defect, restricting his means of action, communication, defense with his fellow beings. Okay, next. Blind means total blindness of both eyes. If he can see from one eye, then he must show that this physical defect restricts his means of action, communication, or defense with his fellow beings. Okay? Dapat mahina yung, hindi ganun kalinaw yung kanyang pagtingin pa rin. O yung kanyang pag-vision niya. Okay. Suffering from the physical defect na tayo, no? The physical defect must restrict, ayan na naman tayo, the means of action, communication, tandaan nyo itong tatlo na to. Okay. Kasi dyan kayo tatanungin. Paano bulag isang mata lang? Dito ninyo justify. Was his means of action, communication, or defense restricted by this defect? Yes or no? Example ito. Having a missing finger or toe is a physical defect. O, walang hinliliit, sabihin natin. It's a physical defect. But it will not be a mitigating circumstance, no? If the offender, no, cannot prove, no, that this restricts his means of action and communication or defense with his fellow beings. Example, kung nawala na daliri sa kanya yung hindi liit, yung pinky finger, does this physical defect restrict his means of action? It does not. Pero pag ang nawala po sa kanya yung thumb niya, we can say, di ba? Kasi paano nga hawak ng kutsilyo yan to defend himself? Paano? Ang hirap, di ba? Malaglag yung kutsilyo. Same thing with action. Kasi paano nang ang hirap magbukas ng doorknob? Diba? Ang hirap kumain ng using kutsara at tinidor. So, physical defect, restrict po yung kanyang means of action sa kay defense. Pero pag pinky finger, hindi. Sa toes nga, kahit na mawala yung hinlalaki. Diba? It doesn't matter. No? So, ayan. No? Kaya kailangan pakita niya na nire-restrict yung kanyang means of action. Okay? Sige. The same is true if the accused has no teeth. Having no teeth is a physical defect, di ba? But it does not restrict his means of action, communication, or defense. Di ba? Same thing din po. Paano pag may scar sa mukha? May parang samurai, no? May peklat. Physical defect yun. But does that restrict his means of action, communication, defense? It does not. Okay. What if the thumb, no, and the middle finger are missing? Eh na, sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, no? There is a mitigating circumstance because this restricts his means of action. Okay, so tandaan niyo yung clause na yun ang killer talaga dyan. Yun ang talagang makaka-determine, no? Yung restrict means of action, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next. Such illness of the offender as to diminish his willpower without depriving him of the consciousness of his acts. Without depriving him of consciousness of his acts. Okay. So, ito muna tayo sa without depriving him. If the accused is already deprived of consciousness, that is an exempting circumstance kasi insanity or imbecility na yun. So, dapat hindi po na-deprive. Dapat na-diminish lang po. Pag diminish lang, dahil sa kanyang illness, by the way, itong mitigating na to, physical. Itong defect na to, mental defect. Yung illness na yan. Mental in nature, mental illness, ito, physical defect. Okay? So, sa mental tayo. Dapat na-diminish lang po yung willpower niya, pero hindi na-deprive yung kanyang consciousness. Kasi pag na-deprive, exempted. Pag diminish, mitigating lang. Example of this illness, Down syndrome, autism, schizophrenia, and so on. Okay? Last tayo, no? Other circumstances of a similar nature or analogous circumstances. Just read this through, no? Voluntary restitution of stolen property, analogous to voluntary surrender. Kung naalala nyo kanina, pag reimbursement of the public funds that were malversed by the offender, analogous po siya sa voluntary surrender, di ba? Analogous din siya sa lack of intent, no intent to commit so grave a wrongs that committed. So, analogous. Next is over 60, ayan, no, with failing eyesight, no, is analogous to over 70 years of age. And so on. No? Kayo na lang magbasa dito, no? Sa read this through. Meron tayong 10. So, kayo na bahala dyan. Okay, for the next video, mag-aggravating na tayo, guys. Medyo mahaba, mas mahaba discussion for this one. Kasi nakita nyo naman kung gaano kahaba yung mga aggravating, no? Pero tatapusin natin ng isang video yan, hopefully. No? Thank you guys, no, for listening to me tonight, for watching me tonight. I hope you learned a lot, no? I hope mas maging simple sa inyo yung mitigating para mas mabilis ang pag-aaral. Okay? Good night.